Yes, there are many who see the big lie, and the lie is so big, and they are so many who see it. Welcome to the WTF Reports, where we take the mainstream media and basically put their face in it. You know, hey, Legacy, hey, mainstream, Alphabet Network, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, you blew it. Guess what, folks? You won't be trusted anymore. No, you won't be trusted anymore. And this is why the podcasters rule supreme. The social media influencers are cranking right along, and the mainstream press is basically on the ropes right now. And I got to tell you, I couldn't be happier about it. I couldn't be happier. And as a matter of fact, there is a call right now. And speaking of calls, before I do that, we're going to call this Open Lines Friday. Yeah, let's do that. Anytime that you want to call in, you're welcome to do so. Any topic that you want to throw onto the table, here's the phone number, 215-867-8255. Okay, there it is. 215-867-8255. You call up and I'll put you right on the air. In the meantime, I first of all want to thank you for listening. This is, as always, these are the WTF reports. I'm Dave vonKleist. I'm here with the facts, and that's WTF. Well, it could also mean something else, as if we don't have enough reason to say WTF. What the heck is going on here? Anyway. I'm so pleased to hear that the mainstream media is on the ropes, and the FCC chairman is talking the possibility of pulling licenses. Yeah, because the FCC basically, tells the networks, you have to work in the public interest. You have to do that. That's what the whole point of having a broadcast license is all about. You're supposed to help the people. But anyway, the FCC commissioner just may pull the licenses. So, and this was being reported on CNBC. Give a listen to this one. Oh boy, I'm chomping at the bit here. Here it is.
Threatening to pull their license? Wouldn't that be a pretty drastic step?
Well, it's not a threat. That's a penalty that is in the Communications Act. That if you don't.
But when was the last time the FCC pulled a broadcast license?
Yeah, it's been a long time. And I think that's part of the issue. If you step back, trust in the national mainstream media is at an absolute low right now. That's not just my view. Jeff Bezos himself did an op-ed where he said that. But what's really interesting is that actually local stations, local TV stations, have a lot of trust. And so the agenda that I'm trying to run at the FCC is to empower those actual local television stations to serve the public interest. Because what we've seen is you've got national news media, ABC, NBC, CBS, and they're exercising more and more control over those local TV stations. And I don't think that's a good thing for the country. So we're trying to reverse that.
Yeah, and we've all heard the audio. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. I could pull that up there, but I'm sure that's been played ad nauseum. But seriously, the FCC is supposed to hold the people, the broadcasters accountable. And what's been going on over the past several decades, it's gotten worse and worse and worse. The propaganda is just incredible. And yes, it doesn't help the fact that during the Obama administration in the National Defense Authorization Act, they very quietly repealed the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948, which basically forbade the American networks to broadcast propaganda against American citizens. Now, it was okay to propagandize overseas. Of course, we knew that was all going on during World War II and the Korean War, et cetera, et cetera. But they made it illegal for broadcast stations to broadcast propaganda to the American people. Well, again, under the NDAA, signed in under Obama, that was repealed. So, hey, all bets were off, and you could throw anything that you want out to the American people. Well, that has got to come to an end. And the FCC chairman, he was saying, hey, we could very well start pulling licenses. So, and I would love to see that. I've been screaming about this stuff for, 30 years. That's why I wrote that. That's why I used that particular theme song to start the broadcast. You won't be trusted anymore. That song was written, like I said, 1996 I wrote that song. And it was focused, the lyrics are directed directly at the mainstream media. You know, we can't wait for you to start to get honest. We can't wait for you to start to be true. We can't wait for you to finally discover that the things you did can be done to you. We can't wait to see the table is turning, forcing you to see the things that you've done. We can't wait for you to face the music, understanding that there's no place to run. See their faces turn white when you turn on the light. Watch the roaches take flight. Whatever it is. Oh, yeah, watch their faces turn white as the people unite. Watch the roaches take flight when you turn on the light. You won't be trusted anymore. Anyway, yeah, so I'm just smiling ear to ear, saying, okay, let's see what's going to happen. Is the FCC actually going to start pulling licenses? Well, we can hope anyway. But can you imagine the shakeup? And then you factor in the Executive Order 13848 and Executive Order 13818. Now, 848 has to do with election interference. Now, I think we all know, if we've been paying attention, campers, we all know that during the 2020 election and the 2022 midterm election, you know, there was so much garbage being thrown out by the mainstream media. And, of course, there was the issue about the Hunter Biden laptop that was released just, 10 days before the 2020 election. And, of course, all the media, all of them, were saying, oh, it's Russian disinformation. It was a big lie. It wasn't real. It wasn't real. And they knew doggone well it was real. They knew a year ahead of time. They lied. They manipulated the election. And many people, according to polls, many Democrats have stated that if they had been told that Epstein laptop was real and all the information about the financial transactions and all the sex stuff that was going on, if they knew that was real, they wouldn't have voted Democrat. So that, dear campers, is election interference. So according to Executive Order 13848, if there's anyone who's been found guilty in participating in election interference, then you can have your assets seized. Now, that doesn't just include ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, blah, 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 but that also includes Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook, Jack Dorsey, then Twitter. I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine if all of their assets were seized? Wow, that's huge. Now, I was talking about this whole thing. Of course, the laptop from hell, Hunter Biden's laptop, and of course now everybody's focusing in on the Epstein files. Everybody's saying, "What the heck is taking so doggone long? Epstein's been gone now for 4 years? What's going on with the P. Diddy stuff? How come we're not getting the release on that?" Well, yours truly has stated yesterday that it could very well be that the release of this information could be seen as a threat to national security because of the names. And we're not just talking about, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton. We're not just talking about Prince Andrew. Everybody's been hearing about that. And we're not just talking about the Hollywood stars. We're not just talking about financiers, people like Bill Gates. We're talking about really huge names. So can you imagine? So this is why I'm saying this could well be seen as a threat to national security. Now, in the meantime, let's see. Wow, we've already gone. It's 15 minutes after the top of the hour, whatever hour you're sitting in. Again, if you want to join me, you want to belly up to the telephone bar, now's the time. It's Open Lines Friday, 215-867-8255. Okay, now let me see. I got a couple things I wanted to touch upon here. J.J. Carroll, and I played this clip a couple weeks ago, and I think it bears repeating. J.J. Carroll basically stated he's got his own podcast, and I agree with what he's saying here because the ball is rolling. The way he puts it, It's like a big boulder rolling down the mountain, and you can't stop it. Anyway, here's his statement about where we're at today with disclosures.
And what's going to be discovered in the very near future, and I'm talking weeks, it's going to shake the foundation of America to her core. It is. The big boulder that was like hanging on the cliff, and Trump just pushed it, and it just started to go down. There's no one that can stop this. That big boulder is devouring everything in its path. All the criminality, all the lies, all the deceit, all the treason. It's just gobbling up, and no one can stop it. It's too big. It's too powerful. It's just going. The only thing that will stop it is the bottom, is the valley. And we don't know where that valley is. How deep is this criminality? How deep is this treason? How many criminals are inside the federal government? How many criminals are in state and local? How many NGOs and international nefarious people are tied to all this? It is deep. The left are losing their mind because they don't know how to react to an alpha male talking to someone that just raped and pillaged his home and then had the audacity to come back and demand more. No, those days are done. They're over.
Well, we can certainly hope so. Now, I do want to tell you, we know that there's a lot of misinformation that's being pumped out there. It's on both sides, not just the Democratic side or a liberal side, but on the conservative Republican side as well. Now, yesterday, I played the presentation that, let me see if I could pull that up. What was her name? Oh, gosh, where did it go? Okay. No, it isn't here. Anyway, Corey Mills, for the nomination for Attorney General. And she gave a very powerful presentation and a very rousing and inspiring presentation, and received a huge round of applause at the end. However, now there's a lot of people coming out and saying, hey, that may not be the right pick. So we're going to have to see how information starts to disseminate. So, and that's why I preface this by saying there's misinformation on both sides. Now, is this a good person for not a good nominee for Surgeon General or not? Well, I guess the jury's still out on that. So we'll just have to see how that's going to pan out. In the meantime, let me see. I got a couple other things I wanted to get to. Is it this one or is it that one? Oh, okay. Yeah. Fox News, we're getting back to this issue about the Epstein documents and, of course, the P. Diddy information. And it's like, foot dragging getting this information out. But anyway, Fox News made the following report.
Breaking news here. A third batch of documents pertaining to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has just been released. We've been combing through this. Nate Boy has been helping us do so. He's live from our New York City newsroom. What are we learning here, Nate?
Hey, Sandra. So 29 documents were just released in the past hour, over 400 pages. We're going through it as quickly as we can. And once again, names in the Clinton family have come up. So, of course, these names coming out as part of a 2015 defamation lawsuit between Virginia Giuffre, one of the accusers who claims that she was sex trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's confidant. Names that were searched, or at least discussed to be searched, through Maxwell's phone as part of that defamation case include Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Prince Andrew, law.harvard.edu was one of the phrases to be searched through her phone, as well as Alan Dershowitz.
Alan Dershowitz, yeah.
But the difference today, Hillary Clinton's name coming through, as we have seen former President Bill Clinton's name pop up each of the past 2 days. Another thing to note, Sandra, in one of the documents that was just released, there is essentially a message book that came out. It's handwritten notes for Jeffrey Epstein about who had called him. One of those notes reads, quote, "She had on the phone Mr. Harvey Weinstein." So we'll keep looking into that, as well as the rest, or as for the rest of the documents that we've had the chance to go through to this point. They explain through depositions a lot of the recruiting process. for a lot of these young girls, some of them recruited by Virginia Giuffre's ex-boyfriend. Many of the girls described at Epstein's home under the age of 18, some of them from different countries. So right now, with these 29 documents being released, that makes 88 documents that have come out to this point. Giuffre's lawyers tell us that we can expect 240, and that process for those documents to be unsealed could stretch into Monday. But we'll keep going through this newest batch of documents, and we'll let you know what we find.
All right.
Now, I'm not getting my hopes up on this because what you've just heard from Fox News is nothing new. Nothing new is coming out. They make it sound like it's coming out. Yeah, we got all these new documents, and here are the names. We've all heard Prince Andrew. We've all heard Bill Clinton. We've all heard about Bill Gates. We've all heard about Alan Dershowitz. We've all heard about Harvey Weinstein. Okay, they're not giving out anything new. Nothing new is coming out. So what's the foot dragging all about? And again, I pretend that it could be seen as a threat to national security if they start letting all this information out. But, you know, there are those of us that have the ability to start connecting dots. Now, we all know that Jeffrey Epstein was working with Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell is doing time right now for trafficking minors. But we've never heard who she trafficked them to. Who were the clients? Their lips are sealed. You can't go there. So, you know, that seems to be verboten. We can't talk about who the clients are, only a few of them that we already know about, okay? But the bottom line here is that there are people out there that are turning a blind eye, and there are people out there that are supposedly saying that they want to get to the truth of everything, and they're going to be honest, and they're going to be relentless, and they're going to bring justice, and they're going to expose everything. Remember, they said day one. I remember Kash Patel, day one, all that stuff's going to be released. Pam Bondi said, day one, we're going to release all this stuff. Well, remember, what was it, a month or so ago when Pam Bondi says, well, okay, we're going to release it, and they had a bunch of media influencers and journalists, and they handed out these files, and they all came out for a photo op and held up these files. We got all the information. You didn't get squat. You didn't get squat. And meanwhile, we've got individuals who basically, they talk a good talk. But I'm telling you, I'm really disappointed with Dan Bongino. Dan, you know, you're supposed to be an intelligent guy, you know, assistant FBI director, and you can't figure this stuff out. Again, Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell's dad was Robert Maxwell, and I don't think he was Japanese. Okay, here's Dan Bongino, and I guess we should put some music on because he seemed to be dancing a bit. Here it is.
What cause is dear to your heart?
Oh, that's the wrong one. This is the one I wanted to play. Okay, now he was talking about this information coming out about Epstein, and we all know that they were making honeypot videos. That's, you know, we know that they were doing things to children, and they were unfortunately being videotaped. And yet we come to those three magic words. What's controlling the world today?
Bribery, coercion, blackmail.
Blackmail. That's the magic word when it comes to this issue about the Jeffrey Epstein videotapes. Hey, Dan Bongino, what do you have to say about that?
About a year and a half after that, I'm in a green room at Fox, and I'm not going to say who because they didn't give me permission to share it, but the short story, but I don't know who they are. It says, you know, Epstein's an intelligence asset for people in the Middle East, right? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, you sure that?
For people in the Middle East? No, I didn't know that. Oh, come on, Dan. Come on. And you're assistant director of the FBI now? What, are you playing stupid?
The person, let's say, is like, I'm absolutely sure of that he's either a witting or unwitting asset, intelligence asset, meaning his plane and that island, the cameras, there's a big assumption out there that these videotapes were exclusively in the custody of Epstein.
No.
That's a huge mistake. The reason they wanted this story to go away is because there's an assumption like, oh yeah, Epstein had him. No, he wasn't the only one who had them, according to this source. These assets, that's why this blackmail story makes so much sense. Which Middle Eastern countries they are, I don't know. But
what did you say? Which Middle Eastern countries you don't know? Serially? Danny boy, do you have functioning gray matter? I mean, a high school kid could figure this stuff out. Let's see. Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Daddy Robert Maxwell, Israeli Mossad. So, which Middle Eastern country, Danny? Can you figure it out?
This person, who's a very, very good reporter, I mean, aces, right? Swore Epstein was either a witting or unwitting intelligence asset, and they may have had his plane wired up, and they're the ones who have all this stuff. So the point is, to sum it up, how do you know some of these countries aren't going to some of these power players who aren't making decisions? Because, hey, you wouldn't want this video out there, right? How do you know? 100%.
It must be some Middle Eastern country. Which Middle Eastern country could it be? Is it possible that you're covering for somebody? Let's ask you, Danny. Hey, is it USA first or is it Israel first? What's the most important thing to you?
What cause is dear to your heart?
Cause is dear to my Israel, the defense of Israel.
Yeah. That's why they're dragging their feet. That's why they're not putting this information out there. That's why they don't want to talk about AIPAC. You know, I mean, but there are people out there who are talking about AIPAC. Jeffrey Sachs, for example.
Is it just, does Israel have us bought out? Are politicians bought out? Do they just hold too much control in Washington, D.C.?
Of course, AIPAC has bought out the Congress, but it's quite interesting, by the way. AIPAC spends maybe this year a few $100 million, and then it gets for Israel tens of billions of dollars, and then it causes the United States to go to war for trillions of dollars. In other words, one thing that I really don't like about our Congress is they sell themselves for nothing. In other words, they've sold American foreign policy for a pittance. AIPAC has the best deal in the world. They multiply their returns 100-fold, 1,000-fold. That's ridiculous. Okay, if AIPAC had to spend trillions of dollars to get trillions of dollars of U.S. spending, it wouldn't happen. Right. But they spend a small amount and they get the trillions. That's the game. It's remarkable. I just don't understand these congressmen really set such a low price for selling American foreign policy.
Yeah, because money talks. And again, those three magic words.
Bribery, coercion, blackmail.
Okay, so when it comes to AIPAC, yeah, they're paying off. They lobby. They pay people. That's the bribery part. And, of course, talking about the Jeffrey Epstein, that's where the blackmail part comes in. As a matter of fact, there's a former CIA intelligence officer. Her name was Sarah Adams, and she was talking to Sean Ryan. Here's what she had to say.
The $40 million a week that comes on the airplane and comes into Afghanistan. So...
Oh, that was the wrong clip. So sorry about that. Oh, I should get some helpers here. But, this whole thing about AIPAC, a lot of people are now starting to pay attention. And that's why they're calling it the noticing. Even the liberal Young Turks are talking about it.
It's our money. It's our money. If Israel wants to carry out war crimes, they shouldn't do it with our money.
Yeah, this is Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks. I should have mentioned her name.
You can't, on one hand, demand that American taxpayers who are desperate for a better life here in America, they need to hand over billions of dollars to the Israeli government and the IDF, and we need to shut the F up about any of our critique. AIPAC is evil. AIPAC is evil. Evil. My fellow Americans, are you okay with that? Are you okay with a lobbying group representing the best interests of a foreign government telling you you need to bust your ass every day, work a job that you likely hate, and have a portion of your earnings taken from you by our federal government and funneled to the Israeli government so they can commit atrocities in the Gaza Strip? Are you okay with that? Because I'm not okay with that. And nothing gets under my skin more, okay, than hearing these pieces of crap. They feel entitled to our money. Entitled. That gets under my skin more than you guys understand, okay?
Yeah, well, it gets under my skin too. And for those of you out there that want to start screaming anti-Semitism, okay, you're a pro-Hamas, blah, blah, blah. No. Don't even go there. And this is why I'm so disgusted with not just the mainstream legacy media, but I'm also pretty disgusted with Newsmax and with OAN and with the Next News Network. I mean, well, not so much Next News. He's telling the truth to Gary, whatever his name is. But the so-called conservative networks, they're covering as well. They will not discuss anything that is critical to Israel. Now, this is not because this is not about hating Judaism or hating Jews. It's about a corrupt political force. So the protesters out there, I mean, the media, and they're all saying, oh, these pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist. No, we're not pro-Hamas. We're not pro-terrorist. It's anti-murder. It's anti-genocide. It's anti-annihilation. It's anti-extermination. It's anti-starvation. That's what it is. So anybody that tries to couch it like that obviously is trying to spin. They're trying to manipulate. And I'm sick and tired of it because there are lots and lots and lots of folks of the Jewish faith that feel the same way that I do. As a matter of fact, there are hundreds of thousands of protesters in Tel Aviv that are disgusted with Bibi Netanyahu and his regime and what he's doing. Yes, we all know that Jews and Arabs have always had been headbutting, but you can't go into a particular area and just exterminate people. What they're doing over there in Gaza is worse than they claim it was at the Holocaust in Germany. As a matter of fact, there's a Jewish woman by the name of Hannah Heidenbinder. She's Jewish. Yeah, and she's not happy either. Give a listen to what she has to say.
As a Jewish person and as an American, I am horrified by the Israeli government's massacre of well over 65,000 Palestinians in Gaza. I am ashamed and infuriated that this mass murder is funded by our American tax dollars. It should not be controversial to say that we should all be against murdering civilians. I mourn for all of the Palestinian lives taken by the Israeli government, entire families and bloodlines destroyed. I know that my call for a liberated Palestine comes from a desire for mutual safety of all people living in the region, and I know that my condemnation of Israel's bombardment of Gaza is not despite what I learned in Hebrew school, but because of it.
Wow. You go,
Donald
girl.
Trump and the Israeli government have suggested that displaced Palestinians be taken by other countries. We Jews know all too well the pain of having to leave our homelands or face certain death. We have to look into the tearful eyes of the children of Palestine orphaned by American bombs and say no, never again is now, never again for anyone. Fascism is rising across the globe. We are watching our right to free speech dissolve before our eyes. Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia organizer who protested the bombardment of his people, is sitting in an ICE detention center in Louisiana because his cry for humanity is in opposition to the military interests of our country and the agenda of the Trump administration. A young activist was ripped away from his 8 months pregnant wife in the night with no crime and no warrant. And Donald Trump says this violent disappearance was done to combat anti-Semitism. Mahmoud Khalil standing alongside both Palestinians and many Jewish students, calling for the Israeli army to stop dropping bombs on his homeland, does not make me feel unsafe. Elon Musk and Steve Bannon does.
Wow.
All struggles for liberation will be won by loudly opposing the corporations who fuel the destruction of our planet and the institutions that fuel mass death of our fellow human beings. Visibility is a responsibility. Those of us who have a platform must use our voices to ensure that speaking out is not outlawed altogether. Thank you.
Yes, and there was a bill that got shot down which would have made it illegal to protest or boycott Israel. Wow, I tell you, this is so insidious. This is so insidious. And for those of you who just can't seem to separate the concept of anti-genocide or anti-Semitism, you need to do some thinking and some research. It's got nothing to do with anti-Semitism or hating Jews. And besides, anti-Semitism doesn't even refer to the Jews. It refers to the Palestinians, because the Palestinians are the Semites. I mean, it's just everything is bass-ackwards. And, you know, she's Hannah, her name, by the way, it was Hannah Heidenbinder. There we go. Yeah. So when you've got Jews standing up and screaming about the atrocities that Israelis are performing, does that make the Jew who's protesting an anti-Semite? This is insanity. And again, this is, you know, shame on you alternative networks that are out there that are continually trying to link the protests of genocide to being pro-terrorist or pro-Hamas or anti-Semitism. Shame on you all. There's even Canadians that can see the difference. Here's a Canadian that's basically saying the same thing.
Many of us of Israeli origin, many of us descendant from Holocaust survivors, we feel a particular sense of responsibility to stand up against the reprehensible crimes being perpetrated in our name by the State of Israel. Yet we say not in our names, not just as Jews, but also as Canadians, on account of Canada's deep complicity with Israel's crimes. This complicity comes in many forms, from the arms trade to the suppression of speech on Palestine through false accusations of anti-Semitism, for example. It also comes through taxpayer-subsidized charitable donations to Israeli organizations, several of whom are directly and deeply implicated in Israeli war crimes. Through one organization, just one of these, Mizrahi Canada, Canadians can donate to radical settler group Women in Green, which has an ongoing fundraising campaign entitled Demolish, Enter, Remain in Gaza. They can donate to Im Tirtzu, which publicly brags about participating in blockading aid trucks getting into Gaza, which could be Canadian aid as well. You can go to their website and you can click, you know, donate in charitable funds, and it'll take you to this Mizrahi Canada website to donate. They can donate to an undercover IDF unit known for assassinating Palestinians, the Duvdevan unit. They can even donate directly to the illegal West Bank settlement of Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, as another example. And you can get tax breaks for doing that, subsidized by the rest of us, including Palestinian Canadians. Let that sink in a little bit. It's now been 2 months since IJV, along with Miles Howe, who you hear from in a minute, and Just Peace Advocates, sent a public letter to the Minister of National Revenue, Marie-Claude Bibeau. This letter follows decades of official complaints from our organizations with hundreds, if not thousands, of pages of incriminating evidence about organizations like Mizrahi Canada, like the Jewish National Fund of Canada, like the Ne'eman Foundation. There's a long list. Yet despite the mountain of evidence showing these organizations violating Canadian law, these organizations continue to get off scot-free by successive liberal and conservative governments. This is not just a few bad apples. This is a systemic issue that requires systemic solutions to make sure that, as MP Ashton rightly stated, not 1 cent of Canadian tax dollars goes to funding genocide.
Well, I would like to see that policy be implemented here in the United States. You know, because we do send billions and billions and billions of dollars every year to Israel, not to mention all the military hardware and the jets and the bombs and all the other stuff that goes into waging war with other countries. And it just seems to me that, you know, most Americans have just become so accustomed to that. Oh, Israel is our greatest ally. Why? Why are they our greatest ally? What are they doing for us? Aside from taking our money and then going off and murdering innocent men, women, and children. And this isn't just in Gaza. This has been going on for a long time. They always have to have some sort of a boogeyman. I mean, this has been going on for decades. Decades and decades. Remember, 9/11, the boogeyman was Osama bin Laden, the Taliban. And then it became Al-Qaeda. And then it became ISIS. And now we're back to the Taliban and Hamas. They always have to have some sort of a group to legitimize the perpetuation of the money machine that is the military-industrial complex. Now, you may recall Tim Burchett, Representative Burchett, was talking about the money that's being sent to the Taliban.
Are you aware that we are sending $40 million a week to the Taliban?
Yes, sir.
Can you name other instances of foreign aid going to terrorist organizations?
We have assisted al-Shabaab in Somalia. There's been instances of the Khamsi network in Sudan, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, Kataib al-Hezbollah, Hayat Tahrir al-Shams in Syria. Dozens of terror organizations have received indirect assistance from U.S. foreign aid.
So why do you suppose we're sending all that money to all of these terrorist organizations? Why do you suppose that's happening? To perpetuate military conflict. Shik-shing, shik-shing, shik-shing. And it's been going on for several generations now. President Eisenhower warned us about this. President Kennedy tried to stop this whole mess. That's probably why they took him out. But again, Tim Burchett was just talking about all that money going over to the Taliban. Okay, now I'm going to play this clip. Sarah Adams was on with Sean Ryan, and here's what she had to say.
The $40 million a week that comes on the airplane and comes into Afghanistan. So the plane comes in weekly. The amount of money on the plane weekly is $43 million to $87 million. But one thing I want Americans to understand is in that bucket of the $40 million we send each week, we are paying basically welfare to the Taliban martyrs' families. So every Taliban member who died during the war with us, the U.S. government is paying them a stipend, the family. So our families of Americans who died there aren't getting squat, but we are paying Taliban families for basically dying while attacking us.
Whoa.
Yes, we're funding that.
This is just enraging.
And I asked a couple of people that question straight out, like, do you not think this is not ethically correct? And actually one person gave me an answer of, well, it'll stop them from joining ISIS. I'm like, the Taliban guy's already dead. Like, they give you these bullshit excuses as to why they're funding, like, our enemies. So...
Well, I think that's a huge problem in America to begin with, is making excuses
for terrorist sympathizing and not paying attention to the fucking money.
Yeah, not paying attention to the money. And that's what it's all about, folks. I mean, my gosh, how much in your face does it have to be? When are Americans going to realize that every single one of us is being financially raped to fund all these military conflicts? It just goes on and on and on. Oh, well, the NHL's going on. The playoffs are going on. Did you see the game last night? Oh, the NBA. Oh, Stephen Curry went out with an injury. Oh, the baseball season's hot and heavy. Did you see the Cubbies? Boy, they're really struggling this year. Oh, that new movie just came out. Oh, I got to go see that. Oh, my favorite soap opera's on. Oh, yeah, I went to the concert last. I mean, we get so many doggone distractions. So much bread and games. Anyway, going to take a quick pause for the cause. Here we go.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranty, specialties. Results vary.
And you can get more tank by visiting our website. I humbly request that you do exactly that. Go to the WTFreports.com, visit our sponsors page, and get more tank. You'll be glad that you did. It's good stuff, and I wouldn't be promoting it if I didn't know it works. I've been using it myself for, 9-10 months now. And I got to tell you, this stuff works great. So, it's only going to cost you $20. That's, just a spit in the bucket. Find out for yourself. I think you'll find that you will have an increase in your mileage between 15 and 20%, and you'll find that your vehicle runs a whole lot better and cleaner, which is good for the environment. So visit our website, thewtfreports.com, hit the sponsors button, and get more tank. Okay, that said, again, the phone number here, we're running out of time. Hey, this is your opportunity. I'll put you right on the air. 215-867-8255. That's 215-867-8255. Okay, that said, this past week I've opened up several different shows making the statement that the powers that be, the globalists, the elitists, the movers, the shakers, the policymakers, they have an agenda for the world. And the number one agenda, their number one objective, is to lower the population drastically. This is not a game, folks. This is not conspiracy theory. It was etched in stone in the Georgia Guidestones. And if it's deeds and not words, all you got to do is watch what they do. Now, there was a movie that came out, I guess it was about 20 years ago. I think it was called Amerigeddon. And there's an audio thing here, and I think this is extremely prophetic. Because over the past couple of days, I'm not going to play the clips. I played them earlier this week. You should go back and listen to the archives. But there's a doctor, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was doing a study on the reproductive organ of males, and finding out that these hokey-pokey thingy-dingies that have got lipid particles, well, what do you know? These lipid particles are now replacing the they're in the testes, and they're replacing the spermatozoa. Yeah. So the testes aren't producing as much sperm. No, they're way down. As a matter of fact, they're producing spike proteins, which is why at the end of his presentation, if you're a woman considering having a family, you do not want to mate with a male who has been vaccinated. That's not good. What's the long-term goal if they're going to replace the sperm with spike proteins, which we know are really hazardous to your health? Well, guess what? We also played a clip from Naomi Wolf, and the studies are coming out on how those spike proteins are affecting the women. It's landing in the ovaries. And then we had another clip. Again, I encourage you to go back and listen to some of the archives. A pediatrician has been tracking the pregnancies of mothers in her practice, and she found that 80% of the pregnancies were resulting in miscarriages. Do you see about how this is all fitting in with their policy to eliminate huge numbers of the world population? And they're doing so right in our faces, right under our noses. Why don't we see it? Because we're watching pro sports, or we're watching TV, or we're watching movies, or we're doing anything and everything we can so we don't have to pay attention. We can close our eyes, plug our ears, and go, la, 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 it's not happening, la, 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 la. And unfortunately, that's the majority of Americans. But again, I take you back about 20 years to this movie, and I guess it was called Amerigeddon. But listen to this. This is a sci-fi. But listen to what the plan was.
The sustainable population of our planet is no more than 500 million.
And we're willing to kill 7 billion.
Well, most of those lives aren't worth living. The mass of humanity in Africa, India, and China, they live in squalor. They'd be better off dead. The world would be better off without them.
And America will be first.
Yes, well, As our friend Henry Kissinger said, a strong America is the only thing standing in the way of a new world order.
That's right.
We have foreign troops on the ground now, under the UN banner. The country only needs a little chaos.
The American people are resilient. What's to come if the citizens rise up?
Yes, well, when parents see their children starving and families hauled away to FEMA camps for imprisonment or worse, then yes, we expect some resistance at first. But the vanity of nationalism will quickly fade. The people will beg for help.
Yeah, that sounds rather nefarious, don't you think? And what's the deal with all of these military-age males that have been coming across the border for the past administration? Of course, now the borders are pretty much closed up, but the damage is already done. Tens of millions of immigrants came across the border during the Biden administration, many of them military-age males from countries that don't like us. And I would not doubt, okay, I'm just theorizing here, and I'm proud to do so, but I'm just theorizing, what if many of these males are military? I said military age, but what if they're actually military? What if they are UN troops? What if they are Chinese troops? As a matter of fact, it's reported there are 40,000 Chinese troops north of the border in Canada right now. And so what if there's going to be some resistance? Well, maybe that's part of the plan. They want to have social unrest. You know, I mean, what if things really start to hit the fan this summer? Well, yeah, and there's a lot of conflict. We already know that George Soros was funding Antifa and BLM during the summer of love. What makes you think that he won't do the same? What makes you think that they won't, get these goons out there in the streets and start, antagonizing and basically provoking conflict? And then you couple that in when things start to get really crazy, they bring in the UN troops that have been basically stealthily brought into the country. Yes, I know I'm theorizing. Yes, I know I'm just thinking outside of the cage. Yes, I know just another conspiracy theory. I will remind you, campers out there, we conspiracy theorists are running doggone 1,000% at this point. Anyway, okay. Let's see. I got a couple. Oh, geez, look at the clock. We only got about 6 or 7 minutes left. This is your last chance. Last chance. If you want to call now. 215-867-8255, and I'll pop you right on the air. Okay, let me see if I've got, if this was a clip here. Let me see. I forgot what this clip was. It has to do with supporting Israel. Let me see.
We have anti-Semitism all over our college campuses.
Oh, yeah.
We will stand with Israel to support Israel with whatever they need, whenever they need it. It is not that Israel needs America. America needs Israel.
The founding vision of Israel is
America is here, no matter what it is you need at any time, to preserve the state of Israel.
With a question from Matthew Brooks, the CEO of the Republican Jewish Coalition.
Jewish students across the country are threatened. Surge of anti-Semitism across this country. Anti-Semitism.
Any campus that allows for anti-Semitism, you should lose your federal funding today. I would deport you.
No, it's the anti-Semitism that's spiraling out of control.
Jewish students and synagogues.
Anti-Semitism is just as awful as racism. The Jewish people
providing Israel with the $14 billion that they need. We are 100% undeniably standing shoulder to shoulder with Israel.
When we make sure that we have the backs of our friends, whether it's in Israel.
It's anti-Semitic, horrible stuff. Making sure that Israel, in that Israel situation, Israel must be defended.
On behalf of the Republican National Committee and all of us at NBC News, good night, everyone, from Miami.
And this is the type of programming that is being shoved down the gullet of a collective American sheeple. As long as they're watching the legacy media and watching Lester Holt and David Muir and whatever, you're getting this constant bombardment of we are standing shoulder to shoulder with Israel, and if you don't stand shoulder to shoulder with Israel, you're an anti-Semite, Jew-hating, Hamas-supporting, terrorist-supporting jerk. No, Absolutely. No, I put my foot down. I will not allow you, the legacy media and alternative networks, because you're just as guilty. What is it that Israel is holding over all these people? What is it?
Bribery.
Maybe it's bribery. Bribery. Yeah, bribery.
Coercion.
Yeah.
Blackmail.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. Because you're certainly not telling the truth. And again, Newsmax, shame on you. OAN, shame on you. Next News Network, shame on you. Real America's Voice, shame on you. Right Side Broadcasting, shame on you. News Nation, shame on you. On every single one of you. If you're painting a picture of anybody who protests against genocide and you're labeling them as pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist, anti-Semitic, shame on you. It's not the way it's supposed to work. I don't know how many times I have to say that. And of course, people are going to say, oh, you must hate Jews. You're an anti-Semite. No, I do not. And that's why I played you a couple of clips from people who are Jewish who are protesting against this. Not in our name. I think that, this whole thing about promoting, the Zionist Christian movement, Zionist Jew, people have to understand what Zionism is. And people are still confused about that. And as a matter of fact, the mainstream media, if you protest against Zionism, which is political dogma, they immediately link that with anti-Semitism. No, it's not that. It's anti-political dogma. And again, I've used this analogy numerous times. What if we were the United Zionist States of America, and every state was tailor-made for one particular ethnic or religious group? Take all the Catholics and give them Oregon. If you're not Catholic, you move out of Oregon, leave everything behind, let the Catholics have it, and if you protest, they get to kill you. And New York, you get to have the LGBTQ. Okay? So if you're not LGBTQ, leave New York. Let them all have it, and if you don't like it and you protest, they get to kill you. That's basically what it is. And that's why this Zionist state of Israel that was created back in 1948 as the brainchild of the Rothschild family and the Balfour Declaration back in 1917, this is convoluted. It's distorted. And again, I refer to the creators of the Balfour Declaration, which of course was the Rothschild family. And they were openly and remain openly Satanists. So was the creation of the Balfour Declaration, was this a good thing or was it a bad thing? This is not hard. This is not rocket science, folks. This is easy to figure out. You just have to be willing to connect the dots. And before you even connect the dots, you have to acknowledge that the dots exist. And I'm sorry, there are too many people. Yeah, I'm always railing against the liberal, the radical left about how they just don't want to accept reality and the facts and how they close their eyes, they plug their ears and go, la, 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 la. Well, guess what? There's a lot of conservatives that are doing the same doggone thing. They don't want to hear anything that's going to upset their particular schema of the world. But we've all been misled. I don't care what side of the political aisle that you're standing on. It's not right versus left. It's right versus wrong. And there's plenty of wrongness on both sides of the political aisle. And I can only hope and pray that we can sort this stuff out. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. Oh, my gosh. TGIF. It's already the end of the week. I can't believe it. Oh. All right, folks, I hope you're enjoying the WTF reports. And if you're listening on YouTube or BitChute or Rumble, hey, please click like and subscribe and share. Help this program grow. This is just another voice of common sense. I could be a lone voice in the wind, but I'd like to think that that wind is picking up steam. Anyway, visit our website, thewtfreports.com. Click on the sponsors page and get yourself a Wave Watch. You'll be glad that you did. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Thank you all for your listenership. I wish you well. God bless you all. Stay safe, and above all, stay free. And I will see you Monday.
You won't be